We are here with Amanda Chanel. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay, and we are at Sundance 2017. Yay! So, Amanda, tell us what brings you to Sundance?
I'm here with SAMI BLOOD in the spotlight section.
Oh, cool. It's a wonderful film, but I would let you give me a 2 minute pitch of the film.
Oh God, you're so much better at this in the US. I'm Swedish. But okay. It's about a 14-year-old girl called Elamaya and her younger sister. And she's about to take over the reindeer herding in her family. And the reindeer herders and the indigenous people from Sweden. And then at this boarding school, they're put through race biology exams and the racism of the 1930s, and she decides to take off, leave her little sister and her old life and her old self, and become someone else.
If people don't know, it's Sami are the indigenous people in Sweden, right? And the story is basically this girl trying to become that.
Trying to become Swedish.
Yeah, try to, which is, I think one thing which I found very interesting, and we were talking about that earlier, is that how, even though it is a very specific story, how global it is in terms of story, what's happening in these days. So, and it does touch you while watching the film in that sense. There, do you want to talk a little bit about that, the global aspect of the film, and of being accepted and being uh, trying to become part of the community, but was that something you were thinking about, that how global it is, or you were just focused on this particular story?
I mean, it started out with that I grew up sort of with this conflict that there are elders in my family who strongly reject Sami people, speak badly about them, but they are Sami, and I always known that. And they grew up with Sami as their first and only language. They grew up in reindeer herding, but now they're someone else, and that's another name, and wants nothing to do with their past. And then the other part of my family are still in reindeer herding, where some language and the way of singing and the craft and tradition and everything is very important. So I always wondered, if you can really become another person, and are you then another person all the way through? Are you, happy with your decision? Such a radical decision to leave everything behind, and what does it do to you as a person to cut all ties with your past and your background, family, your history, your culture? I mean, what is full assimilation? What does it do to you? Where does it take you? And what is worth sacrificing for something that might be a better life?
Well, that's very deep, but I think the film does a great job of showing that aspect of it, and a lot of painful aspect of it too, of course, the thing, which is truthful for, I think, any experience, right? So it's also beautifully cast, and from the young actors to older actors, even like small actors, like in the scene in the hotel when she goes and she's talking to these ladies who are talking about, like, I feel that was a very strong component. So are these local? I do not know these actors. How to say? Are these local Swedish actors? How did you find this wonderful cast for this film?
Yeah, they're really wonderful. I'm so happy to be working with these people, and that they're not, it's truthful. Most of them are not actors. I mean, half of the cast are South Sami speakers, because it's more, half of the dialogue is in South Sami language, and half is in Swedish. And then I need
different captions in in italics, so we know it's different sound.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell.
Yeah, but it's a very different language. So, and there are hardly any actors speaking this language. There are only 500 speakers today, so it's one of the most threatened languages, according to the UN, and it's the language that my family speaks.
Oh, great.
So I wanted to do it in this language because this is the culture I know. There are other Sami languages that I don't know. So of course most people are not actors, and the main character and her younger sister are sisters for real.
Oh.
Because I wanted girls who could speak this language, and of course do a wonderful performance and have this kind of strength that they have, and integrity, and I think of them, or her, especially the main character, of some kind of, Katniss Everdeen of the Sami people or something.
Without having to kill people.
Yeah, but she can use a knife though. She can use weapons, and she can dress a reindeer and without being scared or anything.
Have you done reindeer?
No, but my cousins do.
Okay.
So I wanted girls who were in reindeer herding,
Okay.
and preferably sisters, so they would know how to use a knife and know don't be scared and have this knowledge and this, you know.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's what makes it so much more authentic in many ways, which was beautiful. And we're talking about how beautiful the film is too. Like it looks amazing. We are in Park City, Utah, which is all mountains and snow as well. But the film itself, it's just beautiful. Talk a little bit about the locations and any specific challenges that you had in shooting in a place like that, and how was because it looks amazing.
I'm happy that you're saying that. So I love this DOP, Sophia Wilson. She's really good. She's done some Icelandic films and New Zealandic films and Danish films before. So she shot a lot of natural light and using nature in different ways. And she's really good at being in the same breath as the main character, I think. Really being with her. But we shot it all on location, yes, because it's a period piece. It takes place in the 1930s, most of the film. And for me, I think when you're watching a period piece, sometimes I tend to lean back and watch the nice dresses and the nice hats, and I know it's a choreography, crane shots, and someone selling apples on the street or something. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to feel more, raw and not choreographed, and you would feel this is happening right now and have this kind of real-time experience.
It does feel like that, actually.
Yeah, and it's all these uncontrollable elements, so it's maybe not a good idea to do a film like this. Everyone told you should make a film with a lot of children and dogs and animals.
Right.
But I wanted these, dogs and reindeer and mosquitoes and flies and mountain weather, and being on a small boat on a big lake in the middle of the night with children, and all these children and all this uncontrollable element to make it more come to life.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about you're a woman filmmaker. I also feel that a film like this, it would not be a same film if it was coming from a male director's perspective, or not to say that there is not great men directors out there, but I think that voice, that aspect is very important. So what's your thought of as a woman filmmaker working in this industry? I don't know how exactly Europe is, although you do have some great women filmmakers that come from Europe. How's your experience of being a woman filmmaker, and what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I don't know, like in the actual production of a film, I wouldn't know if I would have done it otherwise if I was a man. Probably. You use your life experiences.
Right.
And in this specific film, if I take that as an example, the film is also about growing up as a girl and wanting to be someone else and wanting to get rid of your body. She wants another body. That's both like a racial aspect in that and how you look, but it's also, I think most women growing up has had that feeling like if I could just sort of have another body or sort of get rid of it and become something else. So those experiences are there in the film, but in the industry, I wouldn't know how it would be otherwise. I get this question a lot, and I was in the seminar when I was still in film school. I was at the National Film School of Denmark, and they asked me at the seminar, like, what are you thinking about that when you get out of film school, you will probably never make a feature film, like statistically. Even though you've been through like this 4-year directing program, there's only 6 of us every 2 years.
Wow. From
Northern Europe. So, and I said, it's not for me to think about. Like, I have to work. I want to do this film and the next film and all these stories, and I love this craft and directing actors. And then, of course, I hope that there are decision makers and commissioners and executives that thinks about this and makes a plan for a greater diversity in the industry. I think that's important, because film should be for everyone. It's a democracy aspect, and if it's only made by a small group of people with not that much of a diversity,
right,
within the group, it probably won't. Everyone will not have a film they can see themselves in, or
Right. Yeah.
want to see, you know.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't show the real world we live in, and doesn't tell the real stories that we are part of or want to hear. Then
Yeah, because I mean, for me, as I think one thing that film can do, and that I think about making films, is first of all to be very honest in what you do and brave, but also that I want people to feel less lonely. I think that's what film can do for me, to make me discover another world, be with another person for a while, and you know, be some. It's the closest you get to being someone else, but also to make me feel like I'm seen or heard, or you know, I'm not the only one with these thoughts.
interesting.
And then, I mean, making this film, that was one of the points for me, making something that these people that I know, they've never seen themselves in a film, you know, or something closely related or similar. So I hope in watching it, you can relate, and suddenly you can talk about things that are hard to talk about. I mean, I'm so interested in silence and shame and lies, so all these things we can't talk about in real life, but you can see them in film, and then maybe talk about them, or at least, you know, you feel seen and
Right.
understood and less lonely with your thoughts.
That's true. I think of every artist as artists. That's I think one of our goals, to be able to share and feel too, to experience things that we cannot experience otherwise, and then share that with others too, which is I think a beautiful aspect of this art form. I mean, this film is still, anyway, it's here now. But have you started on your next projects? Anything else you're working on? What's coming next for you?
Yes, I mean, the film is still touring. We're going
Right.
to Berlin in 2 weeks. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, and we started out in Venice in September, so it's, you know, it's taking a lot of time. But yes, I'm just in the middle of writing the next film. So I handed in the script a few days ago.
Wow.
Yes, and it's kind of the same themes, but it's not set in a SAMI context. I mean, I've been making films in other contexts for 10 years.
Right. So is this film based in America, or are you still Europe? Are you gonna do you see yourself making films in Hollywood here?
I would love to make films here, but not just any film. I mean, I want to make the stories that engage me,
Right.
and that I find important, and that they bring up important, you know, questions and dilemmas that people shouldn't be alone dealing with, and that also has to do with bigger structures, or you know, in society. But you have some wonderful actors, and you can reach more people, and there are good script writers, and I mean, there's a lot of attractive things. But then, of course, in Europe we have more power, maybe, as auteurs and writer-directors.
To make certain kind of films specifically, I think that's very true.
Yeah. So I mean, the next thing is about shame as well. Like this one is partly about shame and responsibility in family, like blood ties, like about the responsibility you have for your family or not. But it's about parenthood.
Wow.
And shame.
Cool. So we are at Sundance, and you have been to Sundance earlier too. Including last times in this, what's your favorite Sundance memory?
Oh wow. It's been so great being here with this film, and I think for me personally, it meant a lot that they made an extra screening of the film this weekend, outside of like the ordinary screenings at the Spotlight section. They made a Native community outreach screening for the Native community in Utah, which was great. I mean, that was really a way for me of feeling less lonely with my questions, because all of a sudden I wasn't sort of an educator that you easily become with this film, because people don't know about Sami people, about our colonial history, about the race biology exams, and I mean, mostly I get questions about that, and I explain what has happened, what it's like today. And suddenly I was in a forum where everyone sort of knew it, but because they could relate, because almost the same thing happened here in the residential schools, and measuring of heads and everything.
Right. Yeah, that scene was difficult to watch.
Yeah.
And of course, there's other contexts that come with those kind of things when you see it, including Nazi Germany and But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, because we know now, like
Yeah.
what this led to a few years later.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that was a difficult scene. But yeah, I mean, that's it's part of history too, right? So I think our ability to know truth and accept it, and hopefully not repeat the mistakes
Yeah.
that happened.
But I'm so happy, like, being here because the audience is so great at, asking questions and coming and talking. And with this film, it's been a beautiful journey because people tend to come up or email me afterwards and tell them their stories.
Mm-hmm.
If they have similar stories, usually people with a migration background, I'd say, or with parents with a migration background, or from some kind of minority group, or indigenous people. But that tells me, like, I can relate to this and that, and this really relates
Right.
to story of my life. And sometimes people even tell me, like, I'm not the person I say I am. I say I am this person, but actually I have another name and I'm from another country. So I mean, that's beautiful that they share that with me, and then maybe it works. People feel less lonely.
Yeah, awesome. Well, congratulations on your wonderful film, and we hope to see more and more work from you, more and more wonderful stories being told. And thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.